Parts of Wayanad hit by landslides. Shows the extent of the damage. These are the drone visuals. Over 120 people have died. Bodies of at least 16 people were recovered from a river in a neighboring district of Malappuram as the bodies were swept away. This just shows you the strength, the power of nature, the fury of nature. Lives snuffed out. They never got a chance to wake up as they were buried deep under debris. 3 landslides in a span of 4 hours, starting 2 a.m. The last one somewhere around 6 in the morning. Mundakai, Churmala, Attamala, Nulpura villages in Wayanad severely affected and cut off. In fact, let me just explain this to you. Look at where the landslides seem to have originated. And then you have Mundakai, you have Churmala. In fact, we are being told at least 90% of this little village, Mundakai, seems to have been completely swept off. And let me tell you, this isn't the first. In 2019, an entire village was swept away. Those are the shots from 2019, where the village was completely swept away, Pudumala. So you have a village in 2019, and then you have a little town, another village in 2024, just about 16 kilometers away from each other. So this is Pudumala. Nearly 100 acres of tea estate land, along with a temple, mosque, post office and plantation company's canteen, were completely washed away. Those are the comparisons that you will have on your screen. In fact, both the places where you see for the 2024 image of Mundakai as well as the 2019, you may see just mud, land, sand, soil everywhere, but that was what it was. An entire village was washed away with the fury of the landslide. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has called this as one of the worst natural disasters that Kerala has seen. The challenge has been humongous, with roads wiped away and bridges washed away, between mounds of debris and rivers and streams and spit. In fact, if we could just have the visuals of how even the army and the NDRF teams are rappelling themselves, are using the ropeways to cross over from one point to another point. It's taken over 10 hours for the first set of rescue teams to reach the affected areas, rappelling through the streams. But were there warnings ahead of these landslides? We are told the Hume Center for Ecology and Wildlife Biology on Monday, that's less than 24 hours before the landslides actually hit, gave out an alert to the district administration about the increased possibility of some very severe landslides. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has said the Churmala had a lot of settlements but isn't prone to landslides for years. But here's the point. Mepadi, which constitutes of several villages, including Mundakai, and if we can have that particular map graphic up on our screens again. Now, let me explain this to our viewers because it's kind of important to understand. I know I'm getting into the micros of it all, but to just understand the severity of what has happened, it's important to understand the geographics of it all. Mepadi constitutes several villages, including Mundakai, Churmala, Attamala, and it is one of the 18 ecologically sensitive localities. That's there on your screen. And in Kerala, identified by the Madhav Gadgil report. These localities, which I said these are part of an ecologically sensitive locality, that was identified by the Madhav Gadgil report, which neither the centre nor the then Oommen Chandy-backed government really pushed for or backed. If you can move on to the shots as well. Neither has the left government, that's the Pinarayi Vijayan government, also really batted for it. In fact, the Gadgil report had recognized the environmental significance of Western Ghats. So it was not just Kerala, it was not just Wayanad, it was above the Western Ghats. However, back-to-back governments have opposed it for trivial political reasons. In fact, the Madhav Gadgil report categorized ecologically sensitive areas and zones into Western Ghats. There were clear restrictions and regulations for construction activities in ESZ 1 as well as ESZ 2 regions. That quarrying and red category industry should not be allowed. If we could have those graphics up, if we do have it. Also in areas where quarrying was permitted, it should be at least 100 meters away from human settlements. Neither of these were paid heed to. That's the Madhav Gadgil report on your screen. It speaks about recognizing the impact of the Western Ghats. Proposed 70% of the Western Ghats to be declared as ESAs. Very, very important to recognize how ecologically sensitive these zones are. But why wasn't it not heeded to? And what is really Kerala looking at? Let me open this up to a panel that, may I say, know Kerala extremely well. But before I just go over to my panel, my colleague Deepak Bopanna is in Wayanad. Let's look at this report that he has sent.
We are nearing 24 hours since a couple of landslides hit the Chularmala area here in Wayanad, and the rescue operations continues in full swing. But of course, we are looking at a lot of unfortunate scenes that we witness right now. You can see the level of water that's increasing, posing a risk, of course, to the teams who are operating here. As we speak, from the neighboring villages here in Chularmala and other areas, they are bringing in more mortal remains. You can see at least about 22 at this point in time was found in the last few hours. At least about 10 already have been shifted, and the local teams who are working here tell that the numbers could only increase. As of now, the official numbers, of course, that they have given has breached the 120 mark, which could only increase, of course, with these rescue teams working through the night. I have one of the chief fire officers, Mr. Rijesh, here with me. Sir, if you could tell us how difficult has operating been here. Now the rains are coming in. The IMD predicts more rainfall. How risky is it going to be to carry out rescue operations? Till when is it going to go on?
No, actually, luckily we face no more rain from the morning onwards. That made the rescue much easier. And our problem was there was a bridge over here. We were not, that bridge is completely washed away. So the Mundakai and Churalmala is separated.
Okay.
Separated. And
how many people have you rescued, sir, today?
Today, our team have rescued more than 1,000 people.
Okay. And how many people have lost their lives?
No, that as I'm here, I don't know.
As we speak, in fact, I'm going to ask my video journalist Pradeep. These are unfortunate scenes here. Another mortal remain of an individual who lost his life in this landslide, being brought in by the NDRF personnel and fire personnel of Kerala, along with the civil defence as well. All of them extensively working here together to ensure that they can do enough for the people. Apart from that, the people of Wayanad as well have come together on the streets, helping the rescue teams. The fire and emergency services of Kerala and the fire and rescue services have been here through the course of the day, helping loads and loads of people. So it's been a humongous effort really by all the people, rescue teams, the locals involved, to help as many people as they can. Thousands, over 1,000 have in fact been brought to safety. While of course we've seen the death toll and the number go about 100, but it is heartening to see that people at this point in time are sticking together, standing by one another, helping as many people as they can.
Well, that's my colleague Deepak Bopanna reporting from the ground. I'm also being joined at this point by Naveen Bhatnagar, who is a former DIG for NDRF, MG Radhakrishnan, who is a senior journalist. I'm also being joined at this point by Viju B, who is a deputy resident editor for the Times of India, as well as Vishnu Das, who is with the Hume Center for Ecology and Wildlife Biology. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining us. Mr. Viju, if I can come to you first. Extremely tragic, very worrying, but not unprecedented.
Yeah, very true, Snehal. Yeah, Kerala is in a state of mourning, and we are all in a state of shock because it's, as you said, it's 120 and we are still counting. We don't know how many are buried deep down due to the landslides. So it's a very sad day for all of us, and we hope that I don't know how we can come out of this tragedy. And it's last year there was a reprieve in landslides from 2018, 2019, 2021 we had landslides, 22 also we had landslides, but this year again it has struck again, and we are all in a deep state of shock. Yeah, to begin with, and probably in fact you gave you showed a very wonderful brief of showed a wonderful infographic of where it has happened. I can also give a little bit of a description on the location where it has happened. It has happened in a place called Vellarimala, the Vellari Hills, which is located on the eastern slopes of the Western Ghats. And it is called, as Vishnu would like to describe, it's called the Camel Hump series of mountains. Very beautiful and very scenic mountain ranges. But unfortunately, it is landslide-prone area, as you mentioned in your introduction. And of course, Mantakoi had to bore the brunt this time. There are two reasons for the landslides to occur. One is, of course, the heavy rains. We had around 600 millimeters of rain. It's unprecedented. I mean, 600 millimeters of the rainfall is actually annual rainfall for the entire region. So and it's, of course, as you said, it's because of climate change. Another reason, of course, maybe we can talk about in detail is because of the unscrupulous development in the name of tourism, which has happened. Yeah, I think we can talk about it a bit more. So probably that would be the introduction I would like to say.
Sure. Vishnu Das, if I can come to you, sir. It's important for us to understand that it's not a landslide that was not warned of. It was not like there was no warning. It was not like that no one saw this in a way that this was not coming. Your institute had actually given out an alert less than 24 hours ago. What happened to that alert? How was it received? Was anything done subsequently?
Yeah, we have a community-based weather monitoring system in place for the last 4 or 5 years, where about 200 plus farmers and local people measure rainfall data across from 108 locations. So these data are compiled every day and being shared back to the community as well as to the government officials every day basis. And we also measure cumulative rainfall in each of these locations. And earlier we worked out with a landslide susceptibility map of the district. So we understand that each location has a certain threshold level of rainfall that can be, sustain that mountain slope. But beyond that level, that will also start falling down. So like that, in this particular day,
Okay.
last 48 hours, we received about 572 millimeter rainfall in that particular location. Actually, that is crossing the limits. So the first day itself, we got around 200 plus millimeter rainfall, and the second day by noon, it crossed about 150 more, adding total to 350. So the evening definitely will increase, might cross over into some 600. Then that's the time that we normally give alert into a particular location. So the similar information was shared to everybody. So that was the situation in
So
that
what
area.
was shared?
And this
Can
particular
you
region
explain
is
this to us
highly...
very clearly? So we are very clear. There's no ambiguity. When you say that you had given an alert to the administration, what was the alert?
Yeah, that is we just don't follow up on that. So we just give the information to the district administration, and usually they take initiative for the early warnings, and so they are supposed to act on that, and they've been usually acting on that because of the.
So that's what I'm asking, sir. So was your warning that the rainfall is going to cross the threshold? Is that what your warning was?
Yes. Actually, the heavy rainfall is expected, and many of the forecast models shows heavy rainfall. So that is the time we normally issue warnings. So the problem is this particular location, Mundakai, is highly prone to landslide and has a history of 3 major landslides in the past, starting from 1984 and 2019, and now in 2020, and now in 2024. So it is highly vulnerable location for people to settle in future. So we just wanted to say that those kind of mountain slopes are now no more safer for people to live in coming years because of the extreme weather events. This this cloudburst kind of rain can happen anywhere in the Western Ghats regions, even in Himalayas it's happening.
Okay.
So we are in a very, very difficult time because of the climate change impacts. Yes.
MG Radhakrishnan, if I can come to you. Mr. MG Radhakrishnan, you've had two panelists talk about the word climate change. You've had two panelists underscore the very point about how Kerala is at the cusp of unprecedented tragedies year on year. Do you think politically we are ready to look at this eye to eye?
Unfortunately not, because as you mentioned in the beginning, Sneha, about the Gadgil committee report. In fact, Kerala, as everybody knows, is a highly polarized polity where political parties are actually at each other's throats on almost all issues, except on this. There was a very rare and strange consensus between all these warring political parties to run down Professor Gadgil and his report and to find ways how not to implement or how sort of, to appoint new committees which could actually dilute what Professor Gadgil said. Unfortunately, whatever Gadgil, predicted about 2011 are coming true almost every year as a routine. Now, not just in Kerala, but the entire Western Ghats region, that is, which covers about 6 states from Gujarat to Kerala. All the 6 states are facing extreme climate events almost on a regular basis, maybe in the form of floods or droughts or cloudbursts or landslides or, so these have been, especially in the last 1 decade, every state has gone through this. So the reason, of course, as Gadgil has correctly said, that it is excessive human intervention in an extremely fragile ecological region. Western Ghats, as you know, is one of the world's 8 hottest biological hotspots. Unfortunately, it is also one of the most ecologically challenged geographical region, mainly on account of human intervention. So climate change issues also have been largely caused by these human intervention. There's a few statistics I'll tell you just to remind viewers about the kind of dimension of the catastrophe that is just waiting to happen. Is that 25% of Western Ghats forest have been lost in the last few years, and 70% of the Western Ghats forest are fragmented with patches smaller than even 1 square kilometers. 10,000 hectares of land have been affected by mining in the Western Ghats. More than 300 hydroelectric projects are planned or under construction in the Western Ghats, affecting 600 kilometers of rivers. 40% of Western Ghats soil is prone to soil erosion. And water and urbanization. The population density is almost 2 times higher than the national average in Western Ghats. The roads have expanded by more than 25%. Western Ghats are warming at a rate of 1.5 tons faster than the global average. So these are the kind of, telltale kind of symptoms that a catastrophe is right in our midst. But yet, as you said, the political parties, or not just the political parties, the religious groups, the religious leaders, or the caste organization, all these
That's very important to mention. True.
Are together. Yeah.
Right. In fact, while we're talking about this, and I want to go back to Mr. Viju a little bit more to speak about the Gadgil report, but before that, we are also being joined by Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar, who's a former DIG for NDRF. Sir, you've also headed operations in Kerala as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you could have those visuals of how the army and the NDRF are rappelling through, were using the ropeways to get the relief of material across because the bridges and the roads were swept away. So, Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar, my question is very simple. You've heard the panelists speak. It seems to be unprecedented recurrence of tragic events, natural disasters at a speed that's not been seen before. But it's the same NDRF team. It's the same army that's going out and doing this in and again. But you are against a fierce force. My question, Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar, is How is this going to sustain in a topography like Wayanad, where the roads and the bridges have seemed to be collapsed, to have been washed away? I'm told some of the teams took even 15 to 16 hours to be able to reach the epicenter where all of this happened, the impact where it's been seen. It's a huge daunting task.
I don't know, but previously or also last year also happened like that. So in Kerala, a lot of flash floods and all these things are coming, and lot of damage is being reported. So here again it happened, and because it shows that lot of illegal mining work are going on, illegal constructions are going on, and heavy the machineries are moving in that area. These rocks are not meant for these heavy constructions. But nobody took it seriously. That is why it happened. And the rocks became very soft target. And that is why the landslide came. Because naturally, when you will digging the trees and big holes and all these things in the rocks, so naturally strength will go down. So after this such of flood and heavy rain, definitely we have felt it, and we have rescued the people in the same condition. We have given so many directives to the central government and the state government when after our rescue operation.
Right.
But slowly they are taking action, not in so quick, having all these rescue equipments, all the arrangements. I'm sorry that government are lacking behind. They are not taking the serious action on the illegal mining, illegal the constructions, and lot of this dams are coming, which is again I'll tell you where on this nation channel that again it will be a very big loss to the state. So please control it at this moment, and they should not go beyond that. But anyhow, we are in the process of rescue operation, and very soon we will be succeeded. Yeah.
All right, Naveen Bhatnagar, you've made some very important points. Viju B, would you want to take this forward? Because let's look at some reports that have come up in the past. We've had the soil topography of Wayanad. We've spoken about how it's rich in mines. Quarrying is something that has to be done with much caution. Even the Gadgil report spoke about that, was not paid attention to. You have indiscriminate quarrying in several places. In fact, in 2018, in 2019, you had several instances of that come to the fore as the landslides had caused the devastation. And yet that seems to continue. I just want to spend how much are we going to be ignoring the real challenge before Wayanad, and are there lessons from Wayanad for the rest of the Western Ghats?
Yeah, that's true, Snehal. See, one reason for the landslides to occur is because of the unprecedented rain. Like Vishnu was also pointing out, there was around 600 millimeters of rainfall which occurred in the last 24 hours. But another reason is the fact that where are these constructions which have come up recently? I mean, look at the homestays. If you can see the visuals, where are these homestays which have come up? It has come up on the river banks, isn't it, on the river bed? How can you have homestays there? And interestingly, there was this post-Pothumala landslide which occurred in 2019. There was this high-powered committee which was set up by the State Disaster Management Authority. And they had specifically mentioned that you should remove, you should evacuate, you should rehabilitate 4,000 families from this range, right from the Camel Hunt series, right from the valley of the Camel Hunt series of mountains. None of these families have been rehabilitated, which includes people from Undakoyan. They have not been rehabilitated. It is happening across the Western Ghats. It is happening in Diki. It is happening in Palakkad. All these areas. It is happening in Kokkayar, where I had visited when there was landslide which occurred in 2021 and 22. All of them are saying they're in absolute fear because any day landslide can occur there, and their houses are going to get destroyed. So this whole issue of evacuation and rehabilitation, which should happen, as Vishnu was pointing out, is not happening. So that is the first step that we need to look at. Of course, the Madhav Gadgil report, we have the government both by all the states, they have thrown the report into the dustbin, and it's never going to come up. That's what I feel. But then at least we should think of a land use policy, isn't it? We should think of a land use policy. Can we have hill highway expansion project? Massive hill highway expansion projects are coming up in Karnataka, in Goa, in Wayanad. In Wayanad, for example, there's this huge mega tunnel which is coming up, 2,000 crore worth of huge tunnel project, which is coming exactly 2 kilometers from the landslide spot near Putumala and near this village. Can we have this kind of huge tunnel coming up over this in this area? I mean, these are the issues that we need to debate. Unfortunately, Snehal, we are all from the media fraternity does not want to discuss this. We only discuss about the disasters, isn't it? Whenever a disaster happens in Joshimath, whenever a disaster happens in Uttarakhand, we discuss about the rescue and rehabilitation program. As today, what we are doing beyond the headlines. Why is it happening? We don't discuss about it. I mean, that's why I feel that's why the planners get away from it. We need to discuss why it is happening. We need to put these people. We need to put the culprits. We need to find out why it's happening, isn't it? So that is not happening, unfortunately. I think that is one thing severely lacking in Kerala. Not only in Kerala, even in other states, even in Bombay, even in Chennai, for example, the Chennai floods, isn't it? We have seen it happening repeatedly. Yeah.
Right. In fact, MG Radhakrishnan, with your years in Kerala and all your experience in Kerala, I just have to ask you this question. Where does this move towards? You know, do we call it a doomsday? Are we doomed? Because how can you stop landslides from happening? That's going to happen. But there's going to be constructions happening. There's going to be quarrying happening. There are going to be people living in these areas. There's going to be flooding happening because obviously there's no checks anywhere. Where's the middle way? Is there a middle way?
Well, there is a middle way if there is a will. Unfortunately, we are still stuck in a time warp. Especially about development. Development seems to be the catchword or the buzzword that is actually driving everyone nuts. But what is development? What is sustainable development? What is not sustainable development is not an issue. Is an issue which is completely ignored. As I said, 1,200 construction projects are underway there. As the panelist before me said, this tunnel road or whatever it is mentioned, I mean, whatever it is planned now by the state government is extremely disastrous. And 1,500 tourism projects are underway, not just in Kerala, but the entire Western Ghats region, covering all the 6 states. And most of them are completely unplanned, unsustainable projects. So, but unfortunately,
so who gives them the clearance? How do they get the clearance, MG Radhakrishnan? If it's illegal, if it's in insensitive zones, and if it's in the face of disaster year on year, how are they getting the clearances?
Absolutely, it is through completely greasing of palms, through crass corruption, nothing else. Because, for instance, for example, Gadgil has said about 4,000 quarries are working in the entire Western Ghats. In Kerala alone, about 2,000 quarries, and almost 95% of them are unauthorized quarries. Quarries, and mining and quarrying with two particular, reasons that Gadgil found as the most dangerous.
And this report was almost a decade ago.
Yeah. So this is exactly what is happening. So you have a whole mafia of people, the religion is involved, extremely religious, very powerful religious interests, and then you have the quarry mafia, you have the mining mafia, and you have, of course, the vote bank. That is the most, most cardinal, element in the entire gamut of these things, because you have the encroachers are a big vote bank in these hill regions. So nobody wants, for instance, what happened in the last election in Idukki, in Idukki district, in the Idukki Lok Sabha constituency in the last election, the contest was mainly on who is going to support the conservationists and who is not going to support. The people elected the person and the party which was proclaimedly against conservation and environment protection. So this is an extremely difficult situation where people have, people are wrongly led, or they believe that this is what, but they have been going through this suffering in the last few years. and not learnt a lesson.
Right, right. Vishnudas, we're totally out of time, but I want to come to you for your last remarks, Mr. Vishnudas. When you look at Wayanad today, what do you see as its biggest challenge in terms of people just being able to survive?
That's a very relevant question. I would like to put it like Wayanad is one of the highly going to have one of the district in India which is going to be highly impacted by the climate change. And we are facing this right from 2018 and much beyond. For example, before 2018 massive floods and landslides, Wayanad has been facing a severe decade of droughts. So the rainfall has come down, and after 10 years later, immediately after 2018 and 19, we have massive, floods and landslide happening. Then there is a reduction in rainfall. Now, again in 2024, we are getting much more stable rainfall. But along with this, the new changes that is taking place in the atmosphere in terms of the huge cloud formation and the kind of sudden changes that is occurring in the atmosphere, creating more tall cumulonimbus clouds and mesoscale cloud bursts. These are going to impact this region as well because of the very peculiar geographical position of the district, which is having a Western Ghats mountain on the western side of the Wayanad district and towards somewhat in the southeast direction. So this geography is also creating a very suitable condition for cloud bursts. So what I would suggest for future of Wayanad is that these mountain slopes are extremely fragile, and wherever people are settled as of now should move gradually into a safer location and to find out a safer location for their dwellings, and to come up with a very systematic land use plan for the entire region where we do not disturb the crops or these or the ecology or the soil soil ecology of these mountain slopes, where we will not get these kind of massive landslides in future. So it is very difficult to cope up with this climate change scenario now. It's not that easy. So it's going to be very difficult for people of Wayanad.
And in fact, whatever Vishnudas has mentioned, it's not really exclusive to Wayanad, and that's very important for everyone to understand. We are using Wayanad right now. We are discussing Wayanad, but the challenge is far beyond that. The last question to Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar. Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar, my heart just goes out. I'm sure all of us are so distraught about the fact that there are at least 90 people that are missing at this point, and that's at least the number in terms of that can be accounted for. We don't know what other lies, what are the other numbers that lie ahead of us. 120 people have died, but as the night falls, as there will be more challenges for the rescue and relief operations. In all likelihood, not much of that would be able to be done over the night. How difficult is it going to get to ensure we can pull out survivors?
We have the latest equipment with us. See, life locator is there. We have the sniffer dogs. We have the night lamps and emergency lights and the digging equipment. So with the help of Army as well as the State Disaster Relief Force and the police, our NDRF people are day and night searching, and they are engaged themselves in this rescue operation. And we hope that few lives will be taken out safely, but unfortunately, maximum death will be reported. What we can say, it will be in the last, when every rescue operation will be cleared, then we can assess that how much damage it was there. So, but it's a lesson for the state government to be awakened. Yeah, it's a lesson. Once again, on this station channel, I'm saying that it's a lesson for the state government. Please wake up and take necessary actions, as our learned fellows told. Please be serious. Thank you.
Right. We just had half an hour. We've been able to do what we could. The point is to be able to focus on issues that are so much more larger and not just about one disaster that has struck Naveen Bhatnagar, MG Radhakrishnan, Viju B, as well as Vishnudas. Thank you very much for joining us, for bringing in your perspectives. Thank you very much. One reminder to our viewers, remember, there were families that hugged and went to sleep in the night. They never woke up. None of us deserve that.